Welcome to the WRAL Daily Download. I'm Jack Hagel. Math classes could get a big overhaul in North Carolina in the coming years. A new proposal would change the kinds of math classes required for students in the state, enabling them to take more electives emphasizing real-world problem solving. Similar changes could come to lower grades as well. Education leaders say they want to make math more interesting and relevant to students' lives. WRAL Education Insider Emily Walkenhorst has been examining the proposal, and she joins us now. Emily, welcome back.
Glad to be here.
For listeners who don't have high school students or public school students, what does math education look like right now?
Right. So you have kind of like a, normal, 3 through 8 sequence from elementary to middle school. Some middle school students will take a class called Math 1. That's the first class of the high school sequence. You have Math 1, Math 2, Math 3, Math 4. That doesn't really tell you what they teach, but, broadly you go from algebra all the way up to, some more statistics, calculus type things.
Now, you report that school leaders want to tinker with the requirements. What are they proposing?
So they want to do a couple of things. So first, broadly for all grade levels is they want to make math more relevant, and do more real world applications, show people how the math they're learning in kind of this abstract way in school actually can be applied outside of school. Here's how it works. Here's how it would be in the community around here. Here's a problem to solve to figure out, let's say how much voltage you need for this electrical project, something like that. Another big change they want to do is at the high school level. They want to get rid of Math 3 and Math 4. Basically, they want to add a couple of new classes. They want to have 8 total math electives in general, and students would still have to take 4 math classes in high school, but they would get to pick those last 2. So they wouldn't have to do Math 3 and Math 4 anymore. They'd have to pick, they have to pick from 2 classes out of 8 total electives that, they think the students are going to think are really aligned to what they want to do after high school. So if they want to, become an engineer, maybe they do want to keep taking calculus and things like that. But if they're actually more interested in computer science or something, then maybe they want to go more the data and statistics route.
And so Math 3 and Math 4 are currently what?
Right. So they're more, advanced algebra, pre-calculus, all the way up to statistics, probability.
And so those things would be sort of worked into this menu of electives, right?
Well, they're already in some of those other electives. And then, of course, there are 2 new classes, all of those things, you'd still be able to learn them if you wanted to. And they're still going to be featured in some classes. So they're not going away. You're basically just having some different things to choose from, and you could maybe more focus and specialize in an area if you're more interested in that.
Why do they feel like they have to change this now?
So, they kind of go through this process every so many years of changing these standards. And a part of that is they go and they ask everyone, what do you think of math? And what they're hearing is it needs a lot of changes. So teachers are saying, well, my middle school students, they became bored. They stopped being interested. High school teachers saying the same thing. And they're thinking, well, that's not good because math is important. You need to know math. There are more and more careers that involve math, every day. And so they really want to basically fix that problem. And it's not just a North Carolina problem. I mean, there's a RAND survey that one expert I talked to pointed out. It shows about half of middle school and high school students who responded to this survey said they do lose interest in their math class on a regular basis. So basically, if you want, these students to do well, achieve well, if you want high math scores, if you want more kids proficient in math, you really need to solve that problem. If kids are zoning out in your class, they're not going to do well. And so they want to improve things, not just in North Carolina, but also nationally. The U.S. really lags behind a lot of the developed world in terms of math education.
Well, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll hear more about the electives that could replace current required math courses in North Carolina high schools. Stick around. Welcome back to the WRAL Daily Download. We're talking with WRAL Education Insider Emily Walkenhorst about math requirements in North Carolina public schools. Emily, this push to make math more relevant and interesting, whose idea was this?
So it's not just North Carolina. There's a lot of researchers have been pushing this for a while at all kinds of organizations, but there's one specifically, the Charles A. Dana Center, that's at the University of Texas at Austin, has this initiative, and 23 states, including North Carolina, are involved in it. And basically the goal is to update these math standards to have high school students get on this pathway where they can kind of choose things that are most relevant and interesting to them, that are most applicable to what they want to do after high school. And there's a whole host of other things in there, including this effort to get more real life, real world applications of math in class, to have students kind of work together and solve a problem they might actually encounter in their career or just everyday life when they're older.
And it's not just education interests that are focused on this, right?
Right. So the way they're kind of pitching all of this, it made me wonder, I wonder what economists think of this. So I reached out to the Chamber of Commerce, and they said they really support the standards. They like a lot of the elements of it. They said, North Carolina needs rigorous standards, but they also need really practical skills embedded in that. And so they really want an educated workforce, and they think that these changes have the potential to make North Carolina workers more competitive.
Making math education focus on more practical applications seems to make sense. Does it make students more competitive when it comes to college admissions?
Yeah, because essentially they would be, the idea is they would be more engaged in math. They'd be more interested. They might even do better. They also would be kind of prepared for whatever they chose to do next. If they wanted to be an engineer, they could say, well, I took these calculus classes. There's a bigger emphasis on AP classes too. So let's say you took AP calculus. Let's say you took the test because North Carolina makes it free. And let's say you passed. Well, then you don't have to take that class when you're in college. So if you already have this idea of, well, I want to take this class, I want to specialize in this thing, I want to do it in college, if you're already in that mindset in high school, then maybe you take the right class. Maybe you get that kind of leg up. Maybe those classes become easier. Maybe you're able to get credit for them while you're still in high school.
You mentioned this is part of a national focus. How many other states are making changes like this?
So with the Dana Center, it's 23, but I don't believe that it's necessarily limited to that, because the Dana Center is not the only place that's really pushing this. I talked to somebody with the Learning Policy Institute. We know other think tanks have, really put an emphasis on this, said states really need to make big changes, and all 50 of them are hearing it from everyone.
You mentioned that this is a proposal. What needs to happen next for this to become reality? And is there any chance that it won't?
So basically how this works is the standards get revised usually about 4 times. So this is the first draft. They have public comment through about the middle of this month, and then they'll go back and based on everything they've heard from all these stakeholders, which can number in the hundreds, they're going to revise it. And then they'll just do that until they have 4 drafts, and then the State Board of Education adopts it. Basically, how the state board has heard this before is they've heard it in just kind of a work session, not necessarily in this really formal environment where, the board is nitpicking it. So, it's getting the State Board of Education on board to make this change. And, so far I haven't heard any opposition.
Well, we'll be looking forward to your reporting as all of this unfolds. Thanks, Emily.
Of course.
That's WRAL Education Insider Emily Walkenhorst for her in-depth report on a proposal to overhaul math education in North Carolina. Go to the education section of WRAL.com. I'm Jack Hagel. Thanks for joining us, and thanks for listening to the WRAL Daily Download and for making us part of your morning routine. Another great way to get WRAL news is the Morning Briefing newsletter. It's a daily email with Triangle news, events, and headlines to help you get ready for the day. Sign up at WRAL.com/newsletter.